Hello, all. Good evening to all of you. I am back to do a response to Simon at the Hermit's Caves update of the Tarot Tubers A to Z Next Gen, which I guess I fall into that category, which is kind of fun. Um, and I'm winging it. I printed out the questions, and I know that some of them I'm going to struggle to answer. And I realized as I was going through it, I'm being kind of selfish in some of my answers, but I think that's what this is about, to get to know you inside, not necessarily all the my opinions about the world. So I hope I'm not wrong about that. But anyway, so if I come off kind of too focused on me, then I apologize. But I'm not sure I can answer some of these looking as globally as perhaps I should be. So we'll see where we get from there. Anyways, and some of these answers you already know from the first one, but some have also changed. So we'll find out. Well, off we go. Favorite author is Adrian McKinty. He's so good. And I went on and on about this in a previous video, but he's just so good. I can't recommend the Michael Forsyth series and the Sean Duffy series. He's known for other books in the U.S. His Irish books that take place in Ireland just haven't been printed here, or got kind of a late start. They might be a little thick for people, and I don't mean thick in a weird way. I just they're hardcore bloody mysteries. Not super bloody, not gory, but there's a murder or two or three, bombs, things, but I just can't recommend them more highly. And the other thing is that the audiobooks are just as good. So either way, technically, I was reading up on this because I have a sister-in-law who kind of poo-pooed books on tape for a while, and then I read some article, I think it was Psychology Today or something, that was talking about how the brain actually interprets books on tape versus books, and it's virtually identical. And the only difference is that when you have a book on tape, you do have somebody reading it to you, and they can't help, I imagine, but to impart some of themselves into the way in which they're reading, the cadence, the timbre, whatever that they do. I'll be honest, with books on tape, I don't like the ones where they actually have different people doing different characters. That's like a play on tape, and most books, that's why there are screenwriters. Books I don't think are necessarily meant to be read as plays. So I don't care for those kind. So far, I haven't found one that I liked. I've listened to a few. But I think the best readers are the ones who don't take the scene out of your head and make it different. And the guy who reads Adrian McKinty's books is just exceptional. The other guy who's really, really good is Ray Caution. I think his name is Ray, something like that. Caution, who read the first 9 or 10 books of Louise Penny's. He's wonderful. And he did he passed away, unfortunately. I'm so sad about that. The new reader is pretty good, but the first guy was so good. And I listened to an interview he did with Louise Penny. They had never met. He'd read like 7 or 8 of her books on tape. They had never met. They finally met, and she was talking to him about how he records and all of this stuff. And she said, "I heard a rumor that you never read the books ahead of time." And he goes, "Right, I do not. When I am reading it on tape." No, he goes, we will do, second takes and things like that when I screw up. But he goes, when he's reading it also for the first time. And she was like, "How can you do that?" And he goes on about how he just felt important to be reading it as if he were reading it for the first time, because the listener is listening to it being read the first time. And so that's how it should be read. And I thought that's what makes him so good. I don't know about other readers, but this guy, to me, that was like, that's interesting, and it makes a lot of sense. Anyways, but Adrian McKinty is my favorite author. Biggest regret. That's a tough one. I think my biggest regret is that I didn't take my education more seriously. Um, because I feel like I fell into work. That was fine, and I made a great career out of it, and I had a lot of fun, and I have a lot of stories that I continue to tell on this channel and will continue to tell for many years. Um, and met a lot of good people along the way. But I do look back and say, sometimes I wish I hadn't just fallen into it. I wish I'd done more with my education. I don't think I'm a brilliant person, but I think that I could have done more with my ability to think and lead and bring people together or whatever. I think I could have done more in that regard. I don't feel unfulfilled, and I'm not sure. I'm not even sure it's a regret. It's just that if I had to do it over, I might do it differently. I think that's what that's how I should put it. Because I don't regret what I did. It made me who I am, which I'm very pleased with at this point. But yeah, so I'm not sure it's a regret. I think it's just something I would have, if I got the chance to go back and, I suppose, knowing what I know now, don't we all? I would do things a little bit differently. Car, what do you listen to? I am spoiled. I have Sirius XM, is that what it's called? The kind of streaming music service in your car. And they have a zillion channels. But the one that I listen to the most, there's two, is classic vinyl, which is just, you know, it's so funny because I grew up around, well, I say grew up around music. I mean, it was just part of my life. My family listened to a lot of music. And, of course, in school, we listened to a lot. And it astounds me how many songs I know. I mean, I could sing along with everything just because it was, these are the music of pretty much early '70s stuff, late '60s, early '70s, mid '70s, late '70s. It's kind of that chunk of music, and I just love it. And then there's another channel called the Spectrum. I was trying to remember it on a previous video. It's called the Spectrum, and it features music because I felt like I wasn't getting enough. I wasn't getting enough exposure to the music that's coming out today, and so this particular station is a blend of old rock and or old music, older music, and newer music. Like the perfect example is one band that they play a lot is Inhaler, which the lead singer for them is Bono's son. Great Great band. Really enjoy them. Another one is Camp, Mount Joy. These are bands that I just Wilco. These are just bands I'd never heard of before, and now I have, and I really enjoy them. So when I'm feeling adventurous, I'll throw that station on, and it's good. The only problem with the Spectrum is it has kind of a small. The classic vinyl has a really large repertoire of songs. The Spectrum, you tend to kind of hear the same ones over and over and over again, so that's why I flip off of it on occasion, because I don't want to get sick of them. Divination tool other than the tarot. I don't have one, really. I don't. Tarot's about it. Yeah. Eat. What would you eat for your last meal? Absolutely no question. Um, um, think of Thanksgiving, the classic Thanksgiving dinner without the turkey. Not that I'm a vegetarian, but I would rather fill up on mashed potatoes and stuffing and gravy than anything else. And that would be my last meal. Yes. Fears. Do you have any? Yes, I do. What are they? Irrational or rational? Mine, I think, are technically irrational, but I'd like to think of them as rational, which is irrational in itself. I am scared to death of flying, and I don't. I don't know why. I flew for years. I was living in Portland. I went to school in LA. Flew back and forth all the time. Flew to Denver all the time. Had good friends in Colorado. From LA and flew across to the eastern seaboard to my brother's graduation. Red eyes, whatever. I used to fly all the time, and then I was just one day in a plane and just decided I didn't like being in a silver tube flying. And what's irrational about it is I don't mind taking off or landing, which I understand is the worst. That's kind of, if you're going to go down, you're going down either taking off or landing. My fear is being up in the air. I don't like turbulence, even though I know it's just like bumps in the road, but I don't like turbulence. I've been in some pretty dicey airplane turbulence. I've been in dicey situations. We took off at Mexico City airport and had to return because they forgot to put gas in the plane. Another time I'm flying from Mexico City up to LA, and we get on the plane and they ask all of us to sit up front. There's nobody on this plane. It's a gigantic plane. There was no one on it. Maybe 20 people. And they ask us all to move up to the front of the plane because they needed the weight. And I'm like, what? You know, my 120 pounds is going to make a difference making this thing get off the ground. This is concerning to me. But so landed in thunderstorms. I mean, I've had I landed without brakes one time. We had the guy, I'll never forget it, Captain Shelburne. He was Continental Airlines pilot, and I liked flying with him a lot. I flew Continental Airlines all the time from Portland to Ontario, California, because I went to school in Claremont. And so I knew that flight like the back. Well, Ontario to Burbank to San Jose to Portland. So kind of puddle jumping all the way up, same way down. And we were coming into was it San Jose? Yeah, I think so. So we're up in the air, and all of a sudden we start this super gradual descent, and I'm like, something's wrong. And I start to grip the seat, and I looked at the stranger next to me. I said, "There's something wrong." And he goes, "I'm sorry, what?" And I go, "There's something wrong." And he goes, It's fine." I go, "No, it's not fine." And all of a sudden, bing, on comes the little light, and the crackle of the radio, and Captain Shelburne comes on and says, "Hi, this is your Captain Shelburne." And he was a man of few words. And he said, how did he put it? I had this memorized for years because I just thought it was so amazing. Something to the effect of, "We're going to ask all of you to please bring we're beginning a gradual descent into the San Jose airport. We are currently experiencing a frontal hydraulic breakage malfunction. So we're going to ask that you return your tray tables to your upright position, put on your seatbelts, and we're going to come in super gradually. And for your safety and comfort, we have asked that emergency vehicle equipment be standing by on the runway. So don't be alarmed if you see that out your window when we land." And the guy next to me is like, "Oh my God." And I'm like, "I told you." And so, oh my God, it was so weird. And so, everybody's gripping their seats, and the place, it's just becomes silent. No screaming or wackiness, just silence. And nobody really, I don't think anybody felt like we were going to crash. We just weren't sure if we were going to be able to stop. And so, when we got, God, I haven't told this story in forever. So anyways, I need a sip of water here. So we come down and we don't hit the ground. We land. Probably the smoothest landing I've ever been involved in, ever. I mean, it was just, as Captain Shelburne was prone to do. But you know how you land and then you kind of feel the plane slowing down, and you're kind of, how's it? You're thrown back or forward? I can't remember in your seat. I guess when you're taking off, you're throwing back, so I guess you're feeling the push forward. Anyways, that never happened. I mean, we just kept going, and you're bouncing down the road like we're about to take off. I mean, it was that kind of feeling. And we weren't slowing down. And I was like, frick. And you could feel, the flaps are full on, and we're just bouncing along. And all of a sudden, at some point we finally kind of feel like, okay, it feels like it's finally slowing down. And then all of a sudden I was on the left side of the plane. We took a sharp right turn. And so the plane, you could kind of feel, not really, but it felt like it went, kind of went up like this. And I look out, and the end of the runway is like grass in a cyclone, looks like an old football field cyclone fencing right out the left side window. I'm like, dang, there was no runway left. None. So those kind of incidences may have had a little bit to do with the issue. But on the other hand, like I said, I didn't mind taking off and landing. That landing I didn't like. But most of the time, that's not the stuff that bothers me. It's being up in the air. So, yeah, irrational fear. Game, favorite to play. I love Wordle, which is it's hard to explain. If you know it, you know it. WORDLE. Or maybe no E. Anyway, it's the New York Times puzzle. It's really fun. And the other one that is on the New York Times is Spelling Bee, which I also enjoy thoroughly. I love word games and puzzles and kind of those kind of things. And I try to do the New York Times crossword puzzle every day up through Wednesday. After that, forget it. I'm not... I don't do Thursday or Friday or Saturday ever. And I don't even I used to try to attempt them. If my brother's around, we'll bang it out together. He leaves the easy ones for me. But, yeah, no. And then Sunday is kind of a crapshoot. You never know what you're going to get. So occasionally I look at that one. Okay, so that was games. H, holiday. What is your favorite time of year? Always, always, always Christmas. Well, my last meal would be connected with Thanksgiving. My favorite time of year is Christmas. And I think it's very similar to what a lot of people have said. The lights come out. People just seem nicer, more joyous. Snow is falling, if we're lucky. Or at least it's cold. It's sweater weather, boots weather, hat weather, all my favorite things. And yeah, and it was always a big family gathering. My mom made Christmas really, really special. And we tried to keep that tradition up after she died. And I think we did a really good job. Now it's a little different. Now that my dad is gone, we kind of always used to gather with him. Because he, at the time, he was alone after Mom died. And so we would gather. And then after she died, we also gathered because we knew his time was running short, so we wanted to make sure that we spent as much time as we could. But, I traveled every holiday. My brother and sister-in-law traveled from LA every holiday. And after a while, you just don't want to do it anymore. And so I went down for a few. They have never, well, I moved up here in 2018 and then COVID. So, it's not really fair to say they've never come up because they couldn't come up. But they have not come up for holidays. I've been down to their spot a couple of times. And, of course, who doesn't want to go to, at least when I was living in Portland, who doesn't want to go to LA in the middle of the winter, get out of the frickin' rain. But, yeah, but, the last couple of years we've just had Christmas over Zoom, and it's been really fun. And I usually have a little Christmas holiday cheer with my neighbors because I won the lottery where they are concerned. Yeah, and then the lights and and then I'm a sucker for those stupid Christmas movies. So I go through withdrawals every year because I just watch all of them. You're just bombarded with feel good, and they're so mindless. I don't even know why I watch them. I mean, seriously, they're literally so mindless. But I don't even care. I just throw them on in the background and whatever. But yeah, Christmas is my holiday. Will be forever. Interest someone might not know about you. Well, I play guitar and sing, and I also play ukulele, but not as much as I used to. I used to sing with a friend of mine in college. We used to sing for our supper, and we really enjoyed that. And we spent a lot of evenings down in our dorm. We had this big living area, and we used to go down there, play a lot of music down there, and that was really, really fun. I miss that. I miss those times. It's yeah. I play with my brother. He finally he liked to play things that he could carry with him easily, like penny whistle and harmonica. And then when I started playing ukulele, he all of a sudden I could see his interest kind of peaked. So he ended up buying a ukulele, trying and learning how to play it, and then from there graduated to guitar. And so so when him and I get together, we do play. We do play a little bit. We're horrible, but who cares? It's fun to play and sing music with with your family. So that's what we do. So that's an interest you might not know about me. Joy. That was I. Yeah. Okay. So joy. Something that brings you joy. I think hanging with my family. We live on. Thank God we're on all on the West Coast, but we're still 1,200 miles away from each other, and so I enjoy getting together with them, and that always brings me great joy. And snow will always, always, always bring me joy. I love watching it fall. I love hanging around in it. Anybody who's watched any of my videos knows that's a common theme throughout when I'm talking about things I like. It's snow. Yes, please. What would you sing on a karaoke night? Now, interestingly enough, I sang and played college, but I have never, ever done karaoke. I'm okay with a smaller kind of group of people. Or used to be. I'm not so much anymore, but used to be. But I don't think I could stand up in a bar or in a and sing. But if I had to, I would probably sing "Landslide" by Fleetwood Mac or Stevie Nicks. I like that song, and it's in my vocal range, and I can rasp it up when I need to, like she did. So that would probably be that. What makes you laugh the most? Some YouTube shorts make me laugh really hard. I think my brother is very good at making me laugh. Probably more than anyone I know. Oh, and then my best friend Mark. He's got a very wry sense of humor, very funny, very punny, which can get old really fast. But God bless him he keeps trying, and I keep laughing. So yeah, those two guys bring me a lot of joy. One movie, one you loved and could watch over and over again. Easy, Blade Runner. I don't know why, but I'm absolutely fascinated by that film, and I was equally fascinated by the sequel, 2049. Is that what was it called? Blade Runner. I'm getting my dates wrong. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they attached a year to it or not. But anyways, Blade Runner, and then the sequel that starred Ryan Gosling. The movie to me is it's exceptional, and it never got its due when it came out, and it's so nice to see that it's finally getting the respect that it deserves, in my opinion. And of course, young Harrison Ford, oh my God, he's so good in that, and it's just hard to believe that he was ever that young, but he's so good in that, and the score, what's the guy's name? He just passed away. I can't think of it, but the score on that, I remember being freaked out by it when I first heard it, and now it's like, when I hear that music come on, it's like a warm blanket being wrapped around me. I don't know why. But I love that film, and and I should specify the director's cut, the one without the narration in the background. I mean, the narration is okay, but it really makes it hokey. And I guess that it was the studio that said nobody's going to get this film, so you need to throw some narration back there so that people understand what's going on. And so when Harrison Ford was tapped to do it, he didn't want to do it either, but he did. And he said he tried to make it as hokey as possible, hoping that they would, okay, that was a bad idea, take it out, but they didn't. They left it in. So, and you can almost hear it when you do watch the cuts that have his narration in the back. It's like, oh, God. I mean, I'll still watch it. Doesn't matter. If it comes on TV, it's on. But I own the DVD of the director's cut, and it is just... Yeah, I could watch that any day, any night, any hour. Nature. Where in nature do you feel the most connected? In the mountains. I kind of live in them. I've always been a mountain girl. So, yeah. Optimistic. What are your hopes for the future? This is one of those ones that's just tough because I don't like getting into politics on this. It's supposed to be fun and, getting to know you. But I hope that people come to their senses. because I just think there's a real disconnect right now between what's, where the world, where we should be advancing as a people, and then other people who just want to be living in the 1800s apparently. And it's like, no, you don't look back, you are not going that way. One of my favorite quotes. Come on. And quit pulling out the Confederate flags. You lost a long time ago, and you would lose again in a heartbeat. So stop it. Just stop it. And I think, I try to be able to be open-minded and try to understand. And, I spent a long time being kind of leaning Republican as a younger person. I've just gotten more and more liberal, I guess you would call it, as I've aged. But where that party is headed, or where it's gone, or where it ended, I don't know. So I want people to come back to their senses, come back to reality, and understand that nobody gets everything they want. It's called governing is consensus. And that's what it's about. It's not about frickin' headlines, sound bites, frickin' grifting all the money you can possibly grift to. But I think that's why the younger generation of a lot of politicians, the younger kind of crazier politicians, are going in there to get money. You read about these politicians who, enter the race with $200,000 in their bank account, and now they have $40 million. How'd that happen? Yeah, I'd be throwing out sound bites too if that's, I guess if I didn't give a crap about the rest of the people whom I'm supposed to be working for. But anyway, so I'm sorry if I hope I haven't upset anybody. That's simply my opinion. And it's right or wrong. It's my opinion. Everybody's got one. So my hopes for the future, yeah, just kind of, it's not going to be common sense. Common sense has never been common. We all know that. So I just hope people kind of come around a little bit. So next, moving back to tarot. Pip deck. What's your favorite pip deck? Well, everybody knows what my favorite pip deck is. Everybody knows. The Marshmallow Tarot. And it's a cool little pink box. And it's a cool little blue holograph. Let me see if I can get that. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Can you see it? There we go. There it is. Absolutely my favorite deck ever. It just... I showed the same cards every time. I'll take them from the other side. Oh, maybe... Yeah, that's what I set up. This is just the coolest deck ever. Ever, ever, ever. And so at some point, we'll find some pips. I guess... Well, these are the same ones. So... Am I showing this the right way? I guess so. I don't know. I can't tell. Pentacles. Oh, God, this deck just kills me every time I look at it. I love his little table. Knight of Pentacles. He's the King of Cups, but he looks like the King of Pepper Grinders. Oh, here's the wands. So pretty, and I love just all the little detail. So, gorgeous deck. So it's called the Marshmallow. Get it back in this little box. It's called the Marshmallow Marseille Tarot by the Wandering Oracle. So, that's my favorite pip deck. Oh, and I kind of have a second one too. Yeah, right. And I can't remember the name of this one now. And I don't have the title card. Oh, I had to ask Oh, it's called the Celestial Tarot. Um, what is it the Tarot's Apprentice? I think that was who it was. I can't remember now. Was using this deck, and I fell in love with the backs. And he never talks about what his decks are. He doesn't list them in his description box. Oh, sorry, throwing it back. So that's uninteresting, isn't it? Then why are they all the same? Um, here we go. Anyway, so yeah, so and I just love this deck. And I am finding it's interesting because I know that, I mean, these still have some, I guess I could say they still have some kind of some semblance of an image on there. So it's not completely pipped out, as we say. But yeah, I don't know if these would qualify as a lazy pips. Is that something Simon, a word Simon, is it Simon or someone came up with that? I don't like lazy pips. And I agree completely. And I don't know if these qualify as that or not. I just love the colors in this deck. I just think they're really cute. Really cool. And I also, it's funny because people talk about I don't read pips. And I'm like, how can you not read pips? I don't, it's not always about the imagery. And I guess you read what you read. I don't know why I'm even saying this. But to me, it's like back when I was working, I worked on a PC, but my home computer was a Mac, and you find at some point that you get very bilingual, and that's kind of how I think about pip decks. Is that it's pretty easy to get bilingual, reading pip decks and reading visual decks. So, anyways, quality time. What do you consider being quality time spent? I think in good conversation with friends, to me, is good quality time. Good for your head, good for your heart. That to me is quality time. Be it chatting. I have my best friend who lives up in Washington State, and we make phone dates every 3 or 4 weeks and are on the phone for 3 hours, just catching each other up on what we're doing. As we say, we're solving the world's problems one conversation at a time. So that to me is quality time. Reincarnation. If you could be reborn in any time period, when would that be and why? Some folks have answered this similarly, and I would agree. I wish I was more of age in the late 60s. So I was born. He didn't ask her age. I was born in. Well, I don't need to give away my birthday, but I am in my late 60s now, and I wish I'd been, of legal age in the late 60s. I think that would have been, that would have been a hell of a time to be around. Plus, the music situation was so amazing then. And I was really lucky. I had a brother 3 years older than me that really introduced me to a lot of really great music. So I'm thankful for that. But I almost wish I'd been his age in that time period, because that would have been cool. Sacred. What's sacred to you? I think this is part when I was talking about kind of being selfish. I think what's sacred to me is my alone time. I am very much an introvert, an INFJ. I waffle between INFJ and INFP, if you're at all into the Myers-Briggs stuff. I value my alone time. I spent my entire life around a multitude of people and spent most of it exhausted because I just didn't know that I needed to recharge alone. This is something I've really figured out and started to. Well, now that I have the time to, and I'm not in a job where I can't get away from it. Get away from the people. I love people, but I just don't like them around me all the time, and I need to get away from them and hole up. And growing up, people thought something was wrong. Um, go get out there, go play. And I was like, and and I didn't understand why I was that way, or just group gatherings I just wouldn't want to go. And mom's like, my mom would just get after me about stuff like that. And I was like, and I didn't know why. And it wasn't until I was almost middle age that that part of my personality was introduced to me. And it really isn't up until the last 5 years that I begin to really understand how I am affected by that, and how I affect others, because I am not a pleasant person to be around when I've been around you too long. I'm not. I get snappy. I'm horrible. Yeah. So, and we've all kind of figured that out. When I go down to visit my brother, I got my own room that I can, and I used to just hang out all the time, because that's, you're down there visiting, you got to do that. And then it wasn't about the last maybe 3 visits ago when I was like, you know what? I need to just go into my room. It's the middle of the day. We all just had lunch, but I'm going to go into my room and just read for a while and watch some TV. Just be away from everybody. So, what am I talking about? Oh, that's what's sacred to me. Tarot, your current favorite deck. I'm waffling between a few, actually. But right now, I just discovered, not just discovered, but I'm really having fun with the Earthbound Oracle. And it's super fun. And super kind of earthy. Anybody who has watched my channel knows that the love of my life is my Inner Compass Oracle. But it's been really fun to kind of introduce this as a change. My Inner Compass is right over there, so the Inner Compass is still in the basket of love, not going anywhere, but it's been fun to kind of have a little different take on things. And I sorry, I don't have the deck cover with me, so I don't know who it's by, but it's on Etsy. Just you can look it up. Earthbound Oracle. The other one that I've really been enjoying is the Pensive Path Tarot. Very simple backs, and just really cool. First of all, the deck shuffles like butter. It's a linen stock. It's so nice. I'm not that cardstock crazy, but as I've said often, when you have smaller hands, to have a deck that you can actually shuffle is such a treat. I love that one. And the Page of Swords. Oh my God, these guys are so cute. Page of Cups. The Sun. I love that Ace of Wands. Five of Cups. Oh, devastation. He's wearing Crocs. Maybe it's clogs. I love this one too. Six of Wands. Circle Horse. Isn't that great? Anyway, so this is this one too. Somebody showed this before somewhere. But Strength. Isn't that just great? What a wonderful take on this card. So, love this deck. Pensive Path, or the Pensive Path by Reese Marin. So, Earthbound Oracle, Pensive Path, my beloved Rosebud Tarot, of course. I can't get through favorites without talking about the Rosebud Tarot, and of course my other love, which I've talked about recently as well, which is the Darkness of Light. And again, do I have that? I do. The Darkness of Light. I have the 4th edition, designed and illustrated by Tony DeMauro, published at Wavelength Laboratory LLC. I had this under decks that surprised me from the 21 questions. This deck really surprised me, and I've really enjoyed. Now that I'm focusing on the light, Have I been showing those upside down? My apologies. Let me start over. Now, wait, is that right? God, I'm just kidding. I'm confusing myself. Yeah. Um, now that I'm focusing on the light in the cards as opposed to the darkness of the cards. There was a tarot tuber who mentioned that's what they really liked about the deck, and I had not given this deck its due because I felt it was too dark. But once I started to focus on the lighter aspects of this deck, it really opened it up to me, and I truly love it. Oh, look at that magician. Oh my God. Knight of Cups. And there's just this little splash of color here and there, like this one. Ten of Wands. And then one of my favorites, the Ten of Cups. I've showed this one before too. Oh, just beautiful. So yeah, it's hard to pick just one. Sorry if I broke the rules on that one. But yeah, I just absolutely love Darkness of Light. The darkness of light. I always get it as lightness of darkness of light. So that's, get this. I'm tied up here. So, okay, next. Unforgettable moment. Oh. You know, there's a movie called Home for the Holidays with Holly Hunter and I'm so bad with actors' names on the fly. Charles Durning, Anne Bancroft, Robert Downey Jr., who is just insane in that movie. Anyways, it's a great movie, and if you haven't seen it, see it. It's not about necessarily Christmas. It's actually more about Thanksgiving and that time between Thanksgiving and Christmas with your family. But there's a scene in there at the very end where Charles Durning is talking about the moments in your life, those peak moments that last 5-10 seconds tops. And I think for me, one of the most unforgettable moments in my life was at Christmas time. And we had finished dinner, and I think we usually had the grandparents over, and I think they were finally gone. Everybody was kind of, Mom was finally relaxing because that meal was out of the way, and her parents were back to their home. And we just got a chance but we're all still dressed up, everybody dressed up for Christmas Eve. And yeah, it was Christmas Eve. And we just, I laid down on the rug, and we were having a brandy. I was having a brandy, and my dad was next to me. We were both just kind of lying on the floor and looking at the Christmas tree. And we had the Christmas music in the background. And those few seconds of just hanging there and watching the tree and having a sip of brandy with my dad was just something that will stick with me for a very, very long time. It has. I don't even know what year that was. I don't know how old I was either. I'm not sure I was even 21 at that point. But it was just a really special moment. Just that little flicker of a couple of seconds of something that just sticks with you forever. It's really cool. Yeah, so that's an unforgettable moment. Vacation, favorite destination, Quebec City, southeastern Canada. In the province of Quebec. Absolutely my favorite. My roots are in Canada. My grandmother and great-grandmother were both from there. Well, my great-grandmother's English, but she came over. I've told that story before. She made a real point that, and neither one of them ever became U.S. citizens. They remained resident aliens their entire life. They were afraid if they ever applied, even though my grandmother had married an American citizen. She was afraid and kind of my great-grandmother came with her. Her husband died way early, so they when they came to Portland and my grandmother married my grandfather, great-grandmother was along for the ride, as it were. And so neither one of them ever applied for U.S. citizenship. They were afraid they'd get deported if they did. For whatever reason. But when I saw a 1940 census report, I actually found them on it, and my grandmother had lied and said she was born in Detroit, And my great-grandmother told the truth. She said she was born in Ontario, in a town called Brantford, Ontario. And she had the census writer make a note that she was English. I think I've told this story before, but it's like you could just see the census taker going, I don't really need to know. And I could see my grandmother. She was about my size. Probably 90 pounds soaking wet. Just, I don't think I ever saw her eat. She'd have a cup of tea and dry toast. That was her lunch. She was a spitfire. But anyways, I could see her telling that man, no, I want you to note it on there. English. I am English. Not French. Although she was in Ontario, but it's Montreal or Quebec is really more the French end of Canada. But anyways, I spent some time there and absolutely adored it. It is just. I took the train. I did not fly. I took the train to Rochester, New York, where a friend of mine lives, and then I rented a car and went up, drove all around Quebec City, Montreal, Toronto. It was an exceptional trip. I had so much fun, and so that's my favorite destination, and I can't wait to go back. What do you do? Well-being. What do you do to keep it in check? Interesting. I mean, I think it's really easy for me to become kind of hermit-like, because, as I said, I'm just more comfortable when I'm not around people. So to keep it in check is to, get out there and talk to people every once in a while, which I do. And I try to, I just try to keep a level head, I don't do any rituals or anything. I don't do meditation. I've wanted to think about doing that, but I haven't yet. So, what do I do? Basically just, be smart about it. Be kind. That keeps me balanced. X-ray. X-ray. Have you ever had one? Ever broken a bone? I have not broken a bone. I have had an X-ray because I thought I broke my foot. And it ends up I just sprained it really bad. So I did have an X-ray. I did fall off a roof and broke my nose, but I was only 9, so it actually wasn't. I don't even know if your nose is bone. Is it just cartilage? I don't know what the specifics are, but I did break it. And that's, I don't know. I don't think I get close enough to the camera, but I've got scars all the way down, several fishing around on my nose, and then several right in my lip here from where I guess when I landed, I kind of bit into everything and landed flat on my face. Yeah. I was pretty wackadoodle for a month or so after that. I had a pretty deep concussion, and yeah, that was fun. But so technically, no, I've never broken a bone. Why yourself? When can you feel totally comfortable in your own skin? Pretty much when I'm at home. I mean, I feel comfortable in my skin almost anywhere. I really do. But I think I spent so much of my life being on stage for people that, not theater, but just in the work that I did, where you're just constantly, pleasing everybody, and you're just all about caretaking and that kind of thing, and you're just being nice when they're being assholes, and just playing that game. And that, in many ways, made me uncomfortable. But when I would get home, it was almost like I could breathe again. I can remember, it seems to me I've talked about this in a previous video, but I'm not sure I posted it. But it would be like I would walk into work, and I'd walk in, and there's these major big doors where guests would come in. They were really tall. And I usually work nights, and I would come in around 4:00. And I'd see those doors, and they'd make this sound of opening, and I'd come around the corner, and just see them opening, constant, in and out of people. And I can remember when I'd walk in at 4:00, I'd look at those doors, and I say, I will be locking those in 7 hours. And that's what got me through. Because I knew that I would be able to shut those doors and lock them at the end of the night. So I would take a deep breath in when I got there at 4 o'clock and exhale when we locked those doors at 11. Oh, felt so good. And I think from that I learned that, to embrace those moments of feeling comfortable in my own skin, which was anytime I wasn't around a lot of people. So home is the place that I feel the most comfortable. Zodiac. And what star sign are you, and do you feel a connection with it? I am an Aquarian, and full board Aquarian. No ifs, ands, or buts. Yeah. Rebel, wanting the best for everything and everyone. Worldview. Just, it's so funny. Every time I read descriptions of Aquarians, I'm just like, I'm actually shocked at how accurate it is, at least how I perceive myself. And of course, I keep an eye on my brothers and my sisters-in-law and my nephew and all of theirs, and they all just fall into their star signs so well. It's just, it's astounding to me. The one that throws me off a little bit is my brother. He's a Cancer. But I think sometimes that I don't know him as well as I think I do. There may be pieces of him that I'm not privy to, which would make sense. But my nephew, full on Leo. My sister-in-law, Virgo, all the way. Completely. And then both my parents were Capricorn. Capricorns. Full on. Completely. So, yeah, definitely an Aquarian. All aqua, all the way. Those are my questions. I hope I didn't go on too long. Please tell me you're still recording. Oh, good. Oh, 50 minutes. God, I'm sorry. Ugh. And I don't edit, so sorry. Thanks for if you stuck around the whole time. Thank you so much. This was fun. I enjoy doing these kind of videos. I hope that you enjoyed listening to my rambles. And I hope you all have a great evening, or having a great evening, and continue to have a great day tomorrow. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate it so much. Bye.